What would your ideal job be? Creative director at a computer game development studio. But I went for a regular software development engineering job in industry instead. I get paid better, have better work-life balance, and contribute to more important projects. But it would still be really cool to design my own game and have it built. Could freelance develop games in my free time. But the types of games I'd be interested in making are out of scope for what a single developer could make even full-time, let alone doing it on the side. Any job where the work is meaningful, i.e. not a bullshit job. Bullshit jobs the people who work their bosses, colleagues. Reports are thoughtful, patient, and decent people, and the remuneration is fair with good allowances for vacation and personal leave. I've been on this rock for quite a few decades, and worked almost every dream job I could imagine, looking at it as a line on a resume CV. But the most prestigious places often have the most toxic work environments. Is dream job different from ideal job? I don't think I care what my job is as much as I care when and where I work. If I can work from home and choose my own hours, that would be ideal, and I'd be willing to deal with other not-so-ideal conditions if my ideal conditions were met. Dream job is working with cannabis. I wanted to learn to grow great cannabis flower and learn to make some nice quality hash. Random job I do like to try. I do want to be a pilot. The views got to be insane. Travel blogs, photography, food review, like Anthony Bourdain. Notice I didn't say replace him. He was awesome, he could never be replaced. But I would like to see more of the world, not just eat the fancy stuff, but also eat what locals eat, street food, and drink with the locals. Make friends across the world. Go down the roads least taken. I want to see it all and experience it all. Not just see it on YouTube while on my 30-minute lunch break eating microwave soup. Professional dungeon master, and I'm actively working on it. I got a personal injury settlement that's allowed me to work part-time and spend some time and money on assembling an impressive and streamlined set of adventures. My dream is to roll up to people's houses or meeting places with a nice luggage full of minis, dice, environments, and prepared character sheets, and give them the best possible version of the game. That design's comfortable, nice houses, and figure out ways to quickly build and sell at cost, or allow people to rent them, that switch to a mortgage to buy with the back rent going towards the mortgage. If we could get government subsidy or donations, I basically want to sell them as cheap as possible to people who are gonna live in them. Many people here answer with something related to laziness, like sleeping all the time or things like that. That's perfectly okay, but wouldn't you feel bored after some time? I'd rather have an intellectual demanding job to challenge my thinking process without time limits or performance goals. Like just research stuff I'm passionate about without restraint. I'd like to teach and manufacture prosthetic robotics like my own startup and teach a class or two at university. And I'd like to take up welding and forging to be like a blacksmith of the older days. My D&D character is a blacksmith, weapons maker, and armorer. Really, man. I just wanna be that super cool professor guy you knew from somewhere. Well, logically it'd be passive income and I'd have hobbies. But my dream job is motoring journalist. I was on my way, but lost that sadly. Still trying to get into it, but don't know anyone. If I did better with math, I'd then love to be an engineer, astrophysicist, bridge architect, or geneticist. But motoring journalist is still the top choice. I genuinely like what I currently do and I'm good at it. The one thing that I would improve is my current work-life balance. As I grow older, I'm starting to value my time way more than money. I make enough to easily afford my mortgage and utilities plus save a bit. I would happily take a 10 pay cut if it meant working less nights and weekends. Own a combo comic book store, used bookstore with an attached coffee shop where people could chill out and read. My wife and I have talked about doing this, but we would need to have enough money to do this for love and it not be profitable, basically break even. Most comic book stores fail. So this is a if we won the lottery kind of thing. Borrow on rent, you pay me when you feel like you don't want to be alone. Need some advice or vent a little. I come. We just hang out, go grab a drink, or do any activity you enjoy and talk about what you want. No argument, no judgment, no social pressure. Pure honesty on my part, and I leave when you ask. I think it's most ideal job is when my hobby and job are same. Every people have a dream, and I think dreams are usually about what they want to be or do, what you like or are good at. Maybe it's not, but I think so. P.S. I'm learning English now, and I'm sorry if my English wasn't good. Thank you. An infamous writer or author. When somebody minds you at airport or wherever they see you, they are dived into what you're doing, and has a good or controversial critic. In any case, something to grow on. But the best you would express yourself and do something that will inspire people. Deliverer of leaflets. Gave it quite a bit of thought, and if I could earn a living wage just going door to door delivering leaflets, that's the job for me. Just pop in a set of headphones, throw on some music, podcast, audiobook, and get healthy at the same time as getting paid. Shaking down cars before they are delivered. I did my work experience at a proving ground that tested new vehicles. One of the cars being test-driven was the at the time brand new McLaren P1. I've been there since and seen supercars that aren't even in production yet. Better than SX. Teacher, I feel like I could have been so much more in life had I had more emotional maturity at a younger age. Have a burning desire to try and help kids figure this out before it is too late for them. If only it wasn't grueling, thankless work for very low pay in most places. Or said jobs and get sad about how overworked and underpaid some of the people are, or for another one how hard it is to be in that line of work in the sense that it's very selective and competitive. To be honest, I'd rather not work at all. But being an artist would be my dream job. It would be wonderful to make what I want and have people pay for it and call me all sorts of nice things. And to see what I make be displayed in galleries and such. I had a few ... any of which I'd love to be able to do. But there are varied reasons as to why I can't, which I won't get into. 1 stunt pilot, 2 graphic designer, 3 photographer. I kinda am already. But not in a professional sense. Being a professional artist in the concept art world. Why? Because it's a very collaborative job where a bunch of artists come together and share their ideas in order to make the best product possible. Also lots of sketching. Theoretical physicist. I've always loved physics, but I didn't study it in college because everybody said I should do something that I could get a job in, like engineering. It's too late now, and I regret it all the time. I've always kind of wanted to be a small town sheriff in a small mountain or lake town. I imagine most of these positions are far shittier than TV shows or movies portray, but there has to be some good ones out there. Salaried fisherman. Catch or don't catch. Still get paid. Can't be bothered when I'm not fishing cause everyone will think I'm fishing. Get a little bonus here and there if I catch some nice fish. A man can dream. Weatherman. You work for 10 minutes 3x a day. You lie your effing dollar off. You get it wrong most every day. You still have a job tomorrow. No offense to my cousin's grandchild who does this job. Pretty specific. My favorite game's YouTube modding channel. Game dev, backend dev. I'm already a dev and beginner modder, but haven't had a chance to jump into these passion as an actual job. Travel show host who explores hidden gems around the globe. Imagine getting sponsored to wander through unknown locales, discovering culture, cuisine, and stories while sharing it with an audience. Night security at a warehouse barely anyone visits. Preferably for both a higher pay and ability to defend myself. Lots of downtime with very little interaction. The dream man. A friend of mine's father is paid 6 figures to stay in a server room and make sure it doesn't stop working. From what I hear, that doesn't happen much, and he usually plays video games. Working 8 hours a day with unpaid lunches. BSIMO. I'd kill for a 9 for gig with 1 hour paid lunch. LOL. I'd also love to have 3-day weekends. But that's not very common in my industry. Literally anything safe that pays what I make now, but doesn't require me working at my mother-in-law's house. I can't find shit for what I make, but she makes me borderline suicidal. Some sort of archivist of old shit. I love looking at old photos, documents, whatever. If I were 18 again, I probably would have tried to get into historic preservation or whatever. I'd love to just run a successful clothing business, but still be able to travel wherever I want and take care of my family. I'd have to be extremely successful, but it's my dream. I'd like to be a cleaner of a little Airbnb shepherd's hut. More specifically, a cleaner of the small shepherd's hut Airbnb in the 400-acre grounds of my mega mansion. Mountaineering, guiding winter and spring, doing some mapping on mountains, flying helicopters on wildfires for fire season, and ski patrol tech rescue in the spare time. I wish I could work at a fish hobbyist store. I love aquariums, but the industry simply doesn't pay enough to make a living wage. Unless you personally own a store. Photographer, traveling the world, taking photos which I then sell to fund my next trip. Currently do it as a hobby, but with work, family, there is not much time. Cleaning, designing, or even cooking. Maybe being a mom fits me very well. After all, it's the most underrated but the most significant job in the world. Probably sitting pretty and making art. I stream, and I'd love to do that forever. But it's a content farm, eat content farm world out there. Twitch streamer. The idea of playing video games for people's enjoyment sounds amazing. It's just too difficult to make a success of it.